Frank Boudreau from Launch Point. It's great to be here with you. Appreciate you joining me. And I want to talk to you a little bit about setting goals today. So I know everybody has goals. We all have dreams and aspirations, I hope. Sorry for the glare off of my glasses here. I have to have these while I'm reading. But everybody has goals. Everybody has dreams. And the unfortunate thing is too many of us struggle with ever reaching those dreams and goals. So I wanted to share something that's really simple. It's a tool. You may have heard of this tool, but it is a tool that I've used in the business world for years, and I want to make sure that you're aware of it and it's available to you as well. And you can look it up, and I encourage you to actually look this up on Google, and you'll find all kinds of stuff relative to it. It's a very simple tool, and it's been widely used in manufacturing and all kinds of other industries, and people all over the world are using it today. So it's nothing new. It's nothing I ever came up with. It's, people way smarter than me are the ones that actually came up with this thing. But it's a really simple acronym called S.M.A.R.T. So you've probably heard of that before, the S.M.A.R.T. goals. And S.M.A.R.T. are the letters that represent the words that are specific to this, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, hey, Dina's watching. Hey, Dina. So specific, let's talk about that first of all. Specific means that the goal is very, very specific, and you can define it. You can actually describe it and define what it is. It's not, I want to be the president of the United States someday. I want to be a leader someday. More specific, like I want to be an owner of my own business someday. That'd be more specific. And so it needs to be detailed. You need to make sure it has some detail to it, and you can actually describe it and understand it, and you know what you're talking about when you speak of it. It also needs to be measurable. So you need to be able to know when you've actually gotten there. There needs to be the ability to, whether it's a measurement of a number, it's a time, it is a position, but something that's measurable. And what's really good is the kind of goal where you're looking at a measurement where you can actually see milestones. You can actually see progress along the way. It's not just you go, and suddenly you're done. But you can actually mark progress points along the way. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But and then next, achievable, A, make your goal ambitious. And you need to stretch yourself and try to do something a little bit more challenging, of course, but don't make it so outlandish or outrageous that it's just virtually impossible. I'm 5'8", so for me to pick a goal of being, and I'm over 50, so for me to pick a goal today to be an NBA star, that's not very achievable, and it's probably not very realistic. It wasn't realistic when I was in my 20s, so I know it's not realistic now. One of my greatest dreams, if I'm being realistic, one of my greatest dreams is to drive a Formula One car. I would absolutely love to drive a Formula One car. I still think in my little brain, I think I could probably do that someday, but come on, let's be realistic. A guy over 50 isn't going to jump in a Formula One car and have any luck. I'm not even going to be able to get in a Formula One car. Probably my only shot at that is if I paid money at a track somewhere to ride where they have those tandem Formula One cars where you can ride in the back seat of an actual Formula One driver. So that'd probably be my only chance, which would be really cool. Maybe I'll do that someday. But to imagine that I could actually be a Formula One driver today wouldn't be very realistic. So it needs to be achievable. Also, it needs to be relevant. It needs to be relevant and realistic in a way that it's relevant to your life. It's relevant to your dream. What's your big dream? You want to make sure that your goals are relevant to your big dream. What do you really want to achieve in your long life? For example, if I were to use my big goal, my big dream is I really want to make an impact on people. That's really broad. It's not specific. It's kind of tough to measure. It is achievable and it's relevant, but it's kind of hard to put a time limit on it because I really want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be able to have an impact, a positive impact on people for the rest of my life. But all of my specific goals, I want to make sure that they're lined up with that. So that's what I mean. I want to make sure that these goals are relevant to my overall dream in life. What do I really want to achieve? And finally, and I said it a minute ago, time-related, time-bound. If you look this up, you'll find different terms that are used for the different letters of SMART. So don't let that throw you because essentially they all mean the same. So I'll recap that again. You want to make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable. Some of them say attainable, relevant or realistic, and time-related or time-bound. You want to put a time limit on it. So I'll throw a couple of examples of my own out there. I wanted to write a book. Okay. So that's kind of a big one. And, writing a book, man, I know a lot of people say, I want to write a book someday. And I got to be honest with you, many years ago, I felt like God was telling me, you're going to write a book, you're going to write a book. I even talked to my wife about it several times. I said, man, I think I'm supposed to write a book someday. But in the back of my mind, if I got to be realistic and honest, I was thinking, someday when I don't have anything else to do, I'm going to go ahead and write a book. But I don't know that I'm going to do anything today. But there was something else that I was doing along the way. And what I was doing was, and it was part of my overall goal, was I was wanting to make an impact on some leaders that I was teaching and training. And so I was wanting to make an impact outside of the weekly meetings that we were having. So I started writing once or twice a week. I would write something that was inspirational to them. It was relevant to maybe a leadership lesson that we were learning at the time. But I wanted it to, hit them in between our meetings to give them something to think about and ponder on. And so I would create this email and I would send it to all these leaders that I was working with. And this wound up being forwarded to a lot of people. The list began to get bigger and bigger. There was over 100 people wanting to get this email. So that turned into a blog, and then I continued that for years. And then years later, as a matter of fact, it was a year and a half ago, this actually turned into a book, which got published last year. And so it was the little steps and milestones along the way that finally got me to the point where I actually was able to achieve the goal. So, there's all kinds of different goals. Maybe you have health goals. Maybe you have some career goals. You're wanting to achieve a specific position in a career, or maybe you're wanting to start a whole new career. Maybe that's a goal. Maybe you want to write a book. Man, I encourage you to do it if you want to. Take the steps, do some research. But at the end of the day, you got to start. You got to start writing at some point. It starts with day one. And so that's the other thing that I want to talk to you about. So the SMART goal, it's a super easy, very simple tool that you can use to kind of gauge whether or not what you're putting out there is truly a goal that you can challenge yourself to go get and go achieve. But then there's some tools that need to come alongside it. You might be able to see behind me, I have a dry erase board. I write a lot of stuff on dry erase board. If you could see my desk right now, I won't show it to you. It's not that it's messy, but I've got sticky notes all over it. So as thoughts come to my mind, I write stuff down and I put them on sticky notes. The reason I do that is, I'm like most of us, I forget stuff. I mean, come on. You ever have that thought process that hits you and it's a great thought and you're like, wow, where'd that come from? And then, the next day you try to remember it and it's just completely gone. Maybe I'm the only one that struggles with that. But I know I do struggle with it. And so because I know that, I write this stuff down. And so I put it on notes. I put it on sticky notes. Maybe if I'm not at my desk, I've got, at my desk, I got a whole stack of sticky notes that I use all the time. I use different colors. But when I'm away from my desk, I don't have sticky notes with me. I use my cell phone. and take notes so that I can remind myself later. But at the end of the day, I want to bring that stuff back and do something with it. But if I don't write it down, I know that it's not going to happen because I'm not going to remember all the detail. And goals are no different. If you really want to use this tool, and actually that tool is basically to determine whether or not it's a practical goal for you to go after. But once you've determined it's a goal, now what do you do with it? Well, you need to write it down. You got to write it down, because if you don't, and you're like me, it's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, I've been a leadership nut for a long time. Read a lot of leadership books. I've been teaching and coaching leaders for over 15 years, and I spent a lot of time with a lot of business leaders and ministry leaders, and all of the ones that are really making it happen, the ones that are really hitting it, they're all the ones that they write this stuff down. If they got a goal, they write it down. They write it somewhere. Some people write it on their refrigerator. Some people have a screen that they save, a screensaver on their computer that has this goal written on it. Me, myself, I use OneNote. I keep a lot of my goals, work in OneNote, but I also use a dry erase board like you see behind me. And that's where I do a lot of my brainstorming. And so that's the other thing. So once you've determined that this goal is really what you want to go after, then you want to make sure that you're going to do the things day by day that are going to actually get you there. So these are some of the things I use. Like I said, I use dry erase boards. I use sticky notes. Brainstorming is another big one. You know, I encourage you to get your family involved. Man, if you really want to achieve your goals, there's nobody that wants to see you achieve your goals more than your family. So get them involved. Let them help you stay accountable. Not only accountable, but they're also going to encourage you. Man, I cannot tell you how much my family encourages me with regard to reaching and achieving my goals. As a matter of fact, I'll venture to say that most of the goals that I've achieved in my life, had it not been for my family, I wouldn't have achieved them. I would have run out of gas. I would have gotten frustrated. This whole thing about starting my own business, which I just did recently, that's been a goal in the works for a long, long time. There's been a lot of small goals that were lining up to get me to the big goal, which was starting my own business. But there's absolutely no way that would have happened had it not been for the encouragement and the support of my family. So, man, get your family involved. Man, get it out in front of them. Tell them about it. Tell them what you want to do. Tell them what your dreams and goals are. And then use these tools to start chipping away at it. Take your big dream goal and break it down into action steps, smaller goals that are going to get you to the big goal. For example, if I use starting a business, only because it's real fresh, there's a lot of different things I needed to achieve in order to get to start my own business. I needed to educate myself. So I went and did a lot of work, read a lot of books. I went through some certification training. I wanted to make sure if I was going to sit down and really work with somebody and coach a leader, I wanted to make sure I was going to give them something they'll value. And so I wanted to make sure that I really knew what I was doing before I did that. And so I went and got some training. But there were other things that were involved too. I mean, simple things like, I need to start a website. I need to get a bank account. I mean, all these little things. There's a lot of small goals that led up to the big goal. And if I didn't write all that stuff down and have a list somewhere, I never would have made it. I never would have gotten this done. And so I want to encourage you to, I use a dry erase board because to me it's pretty simple and they're very inexpensive and you can put them in a room somewhere. Some people use the big flip chart. I use some of those too. Flip chart, stick on the walls. I've got some on my door right here with some sticky notes on them. So I'm not telling you anything I haven't tried or done myself. But create an action board. Basically what I'm boiling down to is create an action board. Something where you can start keeping track of all of the little goals that are leading you to the big goal. And it's really cool. I got to tell you, when the thing that continues to motivate you is when you get to start checking off some of those things, the smaller goals that are taking you one step at a time closer and closer to the big goal. And so, the SMART goal is just a simple tool, but at the end of the day, you got to put action to it. You got to physically do something. And these things that I'm sharing with you are the things that help you keep it out in front of you, because really that's what you got to do. If you want to achieve your dreams and goals, you have to keep it in front of you. You got to keep it in front of you all the time, because there's always going to be times where you're ready to just, you know what, I'm done. You got to push past that. And you've probably seen that in a lot of, inspirational videos, but I'm telling you, it's absolutely true. I can't tell you how many times I just wanted to just shake my hands, wipe my hands off and just walk away and go, man, it's just too hard. It's not going to happen. So you got to be ready, and it's got to be a dream or a goal that's really meaningful to you, because it's going to need to be in order for you to push past the difficult times. But here's the cool thing. When you push past those, you get there. It's just a basic principle. You just keep going and you keep pushing. And when you get your family involved, you get some support from them. Use an action board to keep everything organized so that you make sure things are lining up to the big goal. Keeping it out in front of you, writing it down, putting it on your refrigerator, putting it on your dry erase board like I've got behind me. Put it on your cell phone. Make it a screensaver on your computer. Do whatever you got to do. I've heard a lot of people say they write it on their bathroom mirror so that they see it every day when they go in there to brush their teeth to get ready for work. Whatever you've got to do to really keep it in front of you, that's what you got to do, because it's the only way you're going to get there. If you let it drift back in the back of your mind where you're not really thinking about it all the time, your time's going to get consumed with the activity of the moment. And those are good things. There's a lot of things that we have to make sure we're paying attention to. We can't just ignore everything else in our lives. But if we don't keep that big dream, that big goal out in front of us where we can see it, all those other little things are always going to come first. So the only way you're going to make sure that you go back to the big dream, back to the big goal, back to putting some energy and effort into it little by little by little by little, the only way you're going to finally get there is if you put energy and effort into it. So you got to keep it in front of you. So remember those things, right? Each big dream, each big goal has a whole lot of little goals and dreams to go along with it. So you got to keep it in front of you. And the way to do that is create some kind of an action board. So build you an action board of any kind, whether it's a flip chart or a dry erase board or something that you do on your computer, or maybe you got a tablet or a notepad, something that you keep out in front of you often and all the time, so that you can put all the small goals, list the small goals that are taking you to the big goal. That gives you a chance to mark everything off as you achieve them. So you got to keep it out in front of you. Build you an action board that you can work from, something that's active and working. Get your family involved. Make the statement, hey, I'm going to go after this dream, this goal. Put yourself on notice that you're going to hold yourself accountable, whatever the dream or the goal is. Like I said, whether it's health related, career related, personal related, I want to write a book. Maybe you want to change your career completely. Maybe you want to do something different that you want to jump out of an airplane, whatever it is. It could be any goal. But, for example, if you're going to jump out of an airplane, there's going to be some steps you're going to have to go through before they're going to let you get in the airplane, go up in the air and, throw yourself out. So, which I've always wanted to do. Maybe I'll do someday, but I never made it to my big goal. I didn't write it down, and that's why it hasn't happened. So I need to follow my own advice in that regard. So, again, use the SMART model. And for those of you that jumped on just a minute late, I'll just run that through with you again. Use the SMART model. Use these other tools that'll help you keep it out in front of you and stay on that goal. But here's the SMART goal model. SMART needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be achievable. It needs to be relevant and realistic. And it needs to be time related or time bound. Set yourself a time limit. I want to do such and such by such and such a time. Okay, so I really want to encourage you to stretch yourself. Go for your big dream. Go for the big goal. I know we all have them. I know you got them. I know I've got them, and I'm charging towards mine. I've achieved some of them, but I just keep making new ones as I achieve the ones that I've got. I keep making new ones that I go after. I don't ever want to stop learning and growing, and I hope you don't either. So I'm glad I got an opportunity to share some of this stuff with you. I hope it's helpful to you. I hope you took a few notes. I'm going to post this out there. Feel free to send me some questions, ask anything you want. If there's anything I can do to help you achieve your goals, ultimately, that's my goal. I want to make an impact. So if I can help you achieve your goals, you just let me know. You can respond to this, send me an email. You can go to my website at launchpointnow.com. That's launchpointnow.com. Go check it out. I'll be glad to hear from you. You can sign up for, if you want to, you can sign up for, I don't flood people with emails. I hate that. It drives me crazy. But from time to time, I'll put some inspirational thing out there or a learning thing that might help you in your day-to-day life. So that's free to you. Also, on my Launch Point Facebook page, man, feel free to send me a note or a message. I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you get closer to your goals and achieve your dreams. So God bless you. I hope this helped you, and have a great rest of your evening.